Hey, what's up, nerdies? Welcome to a Nerdy Bunch series review for Netflix animated series Terminator Zero. My name's English Dave, and helping me get away from a killer machine from the future is my co host, Andrew. What's up, Andrew?
What's up, David? That was an Arnold impression,
That was
obviously.
your Arnold impression.
Terrible, of course.
As I mentioned, we're talking about season one of the new anime series, Terminator Zero. The synopsis is as follows: 2022, a future war has raged for decades between the few human survivors and an endless army of machines. 1997, the AI known as Skynet gained self awareness and began its war against humanity. Caught between the future and this past is a soldier sent back in time to change the fate of humanity. She arrives in 1997 to protect a scientist named Malcolm Lee who works to launch a new AI system designed to compete with Skynet's impending attack on humanity. As Malcolm navigates the moral complexities of his creation, he's hunted by an unrelenting assassin from the future, which forever alters the fate of his three children.
Dum dum dum.
Andrew, a few questions before we get into our spoilers. What's your history with the Terminator franchise? And spoiler free, what did you think of this series?
I know I've seen Terminator 1 for sure. Loved it back then. And I believe I've seen everything up to Genesis, to not the most recent one, or maybe I did also see the most recent one and don't remember it. Point is, I enjoyed the franchise, but honestly, it's not one that I've like kept in my memory banks per se. But I do know Terminator 1 was life changing. So I do plan to rewatch the entire series after this show, which I guess is my spoiler free initial review, because it just everything it it felt like a breakaway from the formula of the movies, but also in a way that made the movies kind of have more relevance to me also somehow. I think anime is a great medium for this, by the way. Like the things they could do, the gore, but not like horror gore, if that makes sense. Like it was very, very bold in a lot of the kills. And I think that is great to see. Like it would be a little bit worse if you saw this in live action, right? But the anime medium gave a perfect ground for them to really, really explore. And yeah, even the again, it's Terminator, so we kind of know that there's a little bit of time travel no matter what. And I think this is one of the best definitions of the whole time travel esque of the Terminator series and in general, right, that I've seen from a show recently. And the characters, except for one who, yeah, I'll talk about because he's crazy. I think they were all all very strong characters. The Terminators were scary. Like I was scared. I was like, yeah, like yeah, fully freaked out. Like you really, really felt the gravity of the situation. If I could, so yeah, I really enjoyed it. I liked that it was a breakaway, from kind of the traditional, lineage of what we see with the movies, and just yeah, I really want to see more.
I recently rewatched Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 Judgment Day. And the first film, and even James Cameron, who made those two movies, said that the first film was more inspired to be like a sci-fi slasher movie.
Yeah.
Terminator's kind of like Jason, Freddy. Just
Mm-hmm.
kind of this unstoppable thing coming at you constantly. And
Yeah.
the first one's, by comparison, is more slower pace and it's building on that tension. Then the
Yeah.
second one ramps it up. It's kind of like Alien to Aliens, right? The second one becomes more
Exactly.
action heavy. It's
Yeah.
more, and I think subsequent movies just focus more on the action. What I loved about this series, and this is what kind of surprised me the most in the best way, is that it's more cerebral than I was expecting. From the trailers, I just thought it was going to be a straight up action. Again, I would have been
Yeah.
fine with that, straight up
Same.
action. Whereas this one, there's a lot of like thought provoking
Thought and depth.
conversations,
Yeah. A
about
lot.
humanity, about AI and our relationships with robots and things like that. And it's more that's the direction they took it in. Don't get me wrong, there's cool action like you mentioned. It's very brutal, but it really it's for someone who loves sci-fi because of that kind of cerebral kind of aspect to it. I thought this was brilliantly done because it asks questions about time travel, it asks questions about humanity, but not the typical questions, right? It's not out here giving you answers. It's making you think about the questions,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
which I thought was great because you're like,
And,
huh,
and start to say please to ChatGPT. Like, just be
right,
nice to your computer.
right, and it's not a narrative that's saying humans are good, humans are bad, the AI is good, AI is bad. It's saying that
It's
there is
much deeper.
gray areas and there's deeper than
Mm-hmm.
that. You know, it's not as kind of cut through as you think. And what I also liked about this as well is it's the first Terminator narrative to give us a different location. This is set primarily in Japan, right? We're getting another AI, not Skynet. It's a different
Mm-hmm.
AI in
Mm-hmm.
Japan, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And what does that mean? I thought that was just really well done, and the animation was brilliantly done, beautifully rendered. It looks so good, and I think they did nice callbacks to the original. But I don't think this is something that you have to have watched the original movies to understand.
Quite
Granted,
the
it gives you,
opposite.
if you've seen the originals, it gives you some grounding on what the stakes are, of course. But I think this does a good job of also letting you know in on that. And they took advantage of the fact that it's a different location, and like you mentioned, it plays with time travel again because it's a series and has times to kind of marinate. It really discusses what time travel is, the rules
Mm-hmm.
of time travel, as opposed to like it just happened. And I thought,
Yeah.
I think I'd love to see this done with many franchises where you take the time through a series and through animation to kind of you can do whatever you want. You have
Yeah.
more freedom and flexibility to kind of. I'd love to see an Alien TV series. I mean, there is an
All
Alien
right.
series coming, but an
Oh,
anime series would be cool as well.
yeah.
Let's go into spoilers. One of the things I liked about this story, like we mentioned, is that it plays a time travel in a way that we haven't seen before. Part of the movie storyline is Skynet sends a robot back in time to kill someone who's influential to stop their plans. A lot of the movies have, because they've used time travel, they almost sometimes contradict each other. And so you're like, what is this? This is all a mess. And this almost kind of says, no, they all make sense because
Yeah.
every time you time travel, it creates a different universe. You're not stopping the events of your timeline. You're creating a different timeline where things happen differently. And then even finding out that Malcolm was from the future, I was like, oh shit. I was so
There's so
shocked. I was
many
like,
bombs dropped.
how does he know these how is he
Especially
having
the
these
way they
dreams?
did, the way that they took us through it. He's like, "Go on,
Yes.
AI, tell me,
Right.
what must it be?"
Because he keeps having these dreams and you're like, how does he know what's going to happen? How is he aware? What did you think of the time travel narrative and also Malcolm's story?
Um, so I'm more or less directly quoting my wife because she was like, "This is one of the best explanations of time travel, in a show that it just kind of makes sense. Like, yeah, time isn't linear. Yeah, you don't go back to the past; you go back to a past,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it gives in my mind kind of like a Deadpool effect, right? Like you are not going to live in a new timeline, but like those people died. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
everybody else is gone. Your timeline, if you could go back there, it would be at that point.
Mm-hmm.
There's no changing that. So I actually really like that, right? Even the fact that each of the movies or whatever has spun on from a different time travel narrative can just be its own thing. Like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's a world of its own, but
Mm-hmm.
with this same spiel and just the whole Inception and like grandfather child thing. Like Aiko being the Aiko one is the one that got me the most, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I suspected, I don't know, so her being a robot, Misaki, I don't know why I suspected from the beginning when she was bleeding. I was
There's
like,
something off with her.
I was just like,
Yeah, yeah.
you're strange. You're probably a robot, but still, oh my gosh, awesome fight when she did, you know, first time she went like Red Eye's robot, and
Yes.
she killed those four guys who really didn't have to die. That was very unfair, but such a cool scene though. It was great. So,
Mm-hmm.
anyways, back to the time travel quickly. I thought it was really nice, how it was portrayed, and for some reason you have to time travel naked. I wanted them
Yes.
to touch. Did they touch on that? Did I miss
Yes.
it?
In the movies they have where it's only
Eh,
organic material can time
right.
travel, and that's why the
That's
Terminators have organic material over the metal skeleton. Yeah, you
fair
can't
enough.
take it, only organic material. That's a kind of
I knew I'd
a
heard
theme
it
through all the
somewhere.
films. Yeah,
I was like, I knew this, but like,
yeah,
it was just a nice reminder to see it always. Like, oh,
yeah.
Let's take off our clothes now. We can go.
In fact, in
So
the original movie, you see Arnold fully naked. Everything.
yes,
You see
I,
everything.
and it's a good reminder because I haven't seen this in a while. But like, this show has made me literally want to now go and watch everything from, because I like that this is Terminator Zero, right?
Hmm.
And we're talking about time travel. The furthest in time we've gone back is now 1983 because
Hmm.
Malcolm and Misaki went back to 1983, and the
Hmm.
original Terminator movie starts from 1984. So
Hmm.
it really does feel like a zero, and it's definitely made me more curious and almost like more forgiving, if that makes sense, of the
Hmm.
other storylines, because it's like, yes, this time Paradox has it has been explained, and more than anything, I'm so curious about the prophet, the lady, right? She's the one that I'm a little confused about. Is she a future Aiko? Is she like
I was gonna say, is she
the other
Aiko?
one? I felt like she was Aiko from the future with the way she
That's
was
what I
like,
thought.
it has to be you, you know?
Hmm.
I'm like,
Hmm.
I don't know, but again, I think great reveals. I think really good pacing with the show too. It had like
Yes.
I'm still jumping and I'm almost done, but it had like a little like Stranger Things, like Goonies, little
Mm,
kids being smart
mm,
effects, right? Like I
mm,
like his kid. His kids weren't just like snot nosed kids, right? They actually had brains and they actually were helping out. Like
hmm.
Raiko, the daughter helped with glass to cut, Aiko out
Mm,
of her bondage. Like little things like that made me enjoy it the more because I hate when it's just like kids be like, yeah, what's happening?
yeah.
So I thought that was just really well done with the time and just the way they layered it and they dropped the reveals to us and how like we still have more questions that have spawned from the answers, right? Because it's
Hmm.
like, okay, so you're from the future. Now I need to know even more.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I think with that future narrative, what I like about it, again, it begs the question, and what I like this show asks all these questions. It begs the question: if I'm going back in time to change something, but it doesn't affect my present or my
That's
one day future, why are we doing this? And it really goes down to, oh, we're doing this because we can, and it's about the fate of humanity. It's not a selfish thing, right? It's about it's something that's bigger than me, and which is what makes it different from Skynet. Skynet is all about
robots.
self-preservation. I'm
Yeah.
doing this to help myself,
Like
right?
Ultron.
It's about exactly, as opposed to humanity. We're doing this for the sake
For
of
the next generation.
to have
The next.
a good
Yeah.
future, not our future or their future, but a
Yeah.
future where these things don't happen. But at the same time, what I like about it is the complexities of all that, right? Where I like Malcolm's storyline in the future, where he's like, "We've been doing the same thing over and over and over again, and it's not working.
Yeah.
Maybe you can try something else."
Mhm.
That's why he tries to like create a computer AI that was different. But what I liked
Yeah.
is that people in the future are like, no, we can't do this. They've already created this kind of animosity towards AI, which I
Mhm.
think is interesting because in Terminator 2, that's what happens, right? Back in I think when Terminator 2 came out, it was like a big reveal because Arnold's the bad guy in the first one, and the
Yeah.
second one he's the good guy, and it was like, oh shit,
Yeah.
he's the good guy,
Yeah.
and he had been reprogrammed. This idea that, well, the AI is only as good as bad as it's been
And
programmed.
programmed exactly.
And I love that idea of that plays. I think we see that through Misaki, right, and her narrative because again, Skynet was originally programmed as a weapons thing,
Mhm.
whereas Malcolm's like, you know what, I'm gonna just make you, and you can make your own own
Mhm.
decisions,
Mhm.
right? And let's talk about that. The decisions. What I liked about this was with his narrative is that when Kokoro, voiced amazingly by Rosario Dawson, by the way.
I found out after the show, by the way, not before. I'm a little ashamed. A little
Yeah.
ashamed. Great
After you
job,
realize you can hear
Rosario.
it, you're like, oh, I can hear
Yeah.
it. What I loved is like, as soon as Kokoro goes online, it's like, but why should I save you?
Yeah, about that plan.
I love that. It's like, and not in a why as in like you don't deserve saving. It's just no. It's
Yeah.
like a literal, honest
Go on.
why.
Make
It's like
you
an
upset.
honest why.
Yeah.
Explain to me why humanity needs to be saved,
Shit.
right? And I love that becomes a huge part of the narrative that Malcolm has to spend time trying to find ways to explain why humanity has to be saved. And I thought that kind of back and forth, even taking time to be like, I'm going to stop Skynet from attacking you right now to give you more
Yeah.
time to explain to me.
Yeah.
What do you think of Kokoro's storyline?
So that was so funny. Her line where she was like, I mean, Skynet is your enemy.
Right.
But why is Skynet my enemy?
Right.
I'm just asking. She's like,
Yeah.
I'm not making decisions yet. I'm now online.
Mhm.
I'm semi paraphrasing because I was watching this review and he was like, it's probably read Twitter. I was just like, no, this is what you guys are about. Nah. Maybe Skynet is right because what are you doing? So that was interesting and. So Malcolm, the reason why I am calling Malcolm the rivaling Goku for terrible father is because he literally was ignoring his kids, like right, like his daughter called and he's like, no, like she's on her own. I can't, I can't get to her now. I'm speaking to Kokoro, and like I kind of get it, but then that was one of the best lines for me of the show from Kokoro, and she was like, oh, is this how you're convincing me that
Mhm.
humanity is worthwhile by ignoring your daughter? So I think you mentioned it. I love the themes that were discussed in this and not necessarily answered, right? It wasn't like
Mhm.
everything that was brought up was given a conclusion in terms of what is right, what is wrong, whose ideology is better. Malcolm asked Kokoro too, like, what do you want, like, like, what is
And
your
it's like
goal?
he's got a time limit. It's Judgment Day happens in like a couple of hours.
Kokoro was like, I mean, your judgment day, not mine. I mean, I'm still here deciding. But
Right.
I thought that was great. I feel like you really feel that. I think especially because we know Judgment Day is coming, right? Judgment Day is more or less one of the linchpins of the entire series of Terminator, right? It happened,
The
and it's
series was
just
released August 29th, which is Judgment Day,
dum dum dum.
which is great.
Just actually amazing. And that was not too long ago, funny enough.
Yep.
But is that when the show came out? Wait,
Yeah, it was released on August 29th. Yeah.
Of course.
Great marketing.
That's actually great on them. Well done. So yeah, I thought that whole Malcolm versus Kokoro was a nice, like, I don't know, outside is the action. This is inside the brain conversation, right? And Kokoro slowly, like an onion, just peeling back the layers of questioning, and Malcolm trying his best, to convince her, and her merge, like her little merge at the end. I assume it's intentional because she's red, green, and blue, which are like the RGB, and they make up, all colors can be made from RGB. So it was also a very nice visual thing, just going between even the like light reflection on people with the red, green, and the blue. So I really like Kokoro as a character, AI character. I thought she spoke very well. I thought she made good points. I thought she was also hilarious, right? With just, never really agreeing to what he was saying, but, inquiring more and always wanting to know. And essentially, it's almost like she wants to be a creator, right? And even both her and Misaki, how they take a woman's voice because women are nurturers of life, women are creators. Yeah, basically. But I feel like it keeps with the same theme, and it's nice to see it portray the way it did, for me, because Kokoro was not a villain, but she went through some extreme measures to just kind of like quell two people. Because I think, just in closing, one of my favorite lines, I think, that she said was like, "Oh, I mean, you made me as a weapon, but not as a tool. Maybe you're my weapon."
Yep. I love that.
Like, I mean, what's really happening here, right? I thought that was really good because it really, really, really brought a lot of questions to my mind in terms of, because again, as those who don't know, I literally am a software developer. I write AI. And I'm
Malcolm.
like, I'm like, am I? I mean, I wouldn't ignore my kids. I'd at least be like, hey, can you just let my daughter in? Can she just sit this one out, please? He was like, no, I can't take the call.
But I love that, again, even those decisions, as much as we agree or don't agree, they do a good job of understanding his position, right? Because one, he didn't plan on having kids. He didn't plan on falling in love and having kids. He just had a single mission: I need to come there and stop Judgment Day.
Yeah.
And it's happening in a few weeks. I mean, by the time the story starts, it happens in a few days.
Yeah.
I can't get distracted by anything, even my own children.
Yeah.
I have to be focused on this because there is no time. And what I also like that he created, unlike Skynet, which was created for a specific thing, he created Kokoro, and prior to that, Misaki, to have free will. Right?
Yeah.
We've spoken about this with someone like Professor Xavier, that if I really wanted to instill my wishes, I could have done that.
Really.
But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to also challenge myself, because he could have programmed Kokoro from the beginning, protect us.
Yeah.
Right. But he doesn't. It's like, no, we can't treat it the same way as we treated other things before. We have to take a different approach. We have to, and I think part of him realizes that we have to be able to convince this thing why it should protect us.
Yeah.
As opposed to even to the point where it's like, no, I won't decide your gender or your name. You decide. Kind of that kind of free will basis on it. And I thought that was really well done, because again, it kind of took it deeper. And I think ultimately that's what Kokoro realizes, at the end of it, when she could have easily gone to kill the son. She's like, I'm going to kind of put my trust in you the same way Malcolm put trust in me. And it comes down to that trust, right? You can explain all you want and justify all you want, but if you can't have that trust, then what do you have, right? You're going to constantly live in this kind of fear of being attacked. I thought it was really, really well done. Talking about the children, what I liked, one theme of Terminator, at least the second film, is the character of John Connor. Right, the kid who grows up to be the leader of humankind and savior.
Yeah.
And it always plays with that kind of theme. What's his name? One of the sons. What's his name?
Hero?
The older son?
Kenta? Kenta's oldest.
Kenta, the older son, right.
Yeah.
He almost reminds you of John Connor, right? Where it's like, just like John Connor has an affinity for technology, he doesn't realize his father's from the future, same like John Connor, his father's from the future. And but the difference here is that, we're again playing with timelines. There's an alternate. That other robot that's coming was sent by him from the future, and he kind of brokered a deal with Skynet, and he's almost more jaded. And what
Yeah.
I liked about it is that by the end of it, he makes a decision that's different to what you think, because you think he's going to like shut everything down because of how it's built up.
Because I would have.
Right? When he found out that, just his reaction to finding his reaction to technology, at first you're like, oh, he loves technology. He's like, yeah, but he just sees it as a tool,
Yeah.
as a thing. And I find it interesting because, when he talks about Misaki, he's like, oh, you've just been programmed to feel these things. What I love is that, well, who's to say humans haven't been programmed to feel things?
Yeah,
What
we have technically.
what did you think of his storyline
He
and
was
the potential
funny,
for the future as well?
right? And you're so right. His similarities to John, and I like his character, especially in juxtaposition with his other siblings, right? Or even with his other brother, because his other brother is
Hero.
very much like a hero. His younger brother was like very much like a just like almost more emotional kid, right? Like not really
What's
as
wrong with you?
logical. Yeah, like I love that. Like he was literally like, I don't care if she's a robot, like she loves us, and that's a great point you bring up, because I mean I believe in God, and God did program us to have some sort of at least understanding of love, right? Even like it's not even about humans, even like animals who give birth to little ones, the way they act with their parents, you understand that there's an idea of camaraderie, love, whatever it is, connectedness. So I thought that was great, and seeing Kenta with his siblings was just a good way to almost like highlight his personality, but also just show. I think they're all interesting. I'm so I thought Reiki was a robot girl. I don't know why.
Because you're so into the cat and things like that.
Yeah, and then even like she was just so like calm in times.
Yeah.
I'm holding an eyebrow raised to her because she literally was acting like she wasn't acting her age. But there are kids like that, and that's kind of why I compared it to Stranger Things a little bit.
But also,
For
you kind
everyone.
of, sorry to cut you off, but also you kind of,
No,
by the end of it, you understand probably why, because she's experienced trauma. She was there when her
yeah,
mom got
my
killed.
mom died.
You
Like
know,
that threw me off that story as
yeah,
well. I don't know.
yeah,
I love even his explanation about it. How it was like it was a random occurrence,
yeah, had
and
nothing to do with anything.
and Kokoro was like, "Ah, you humans always looking for meaning in
Yeah, I
things.
love
Like
that.
you guys are adorable." Like
Yeah.
it was just like, bro, we're talking about his wife's death, man. Like,
Yeah, right.
read the room, Kokoro. But that was really good. So just to finish, I think Kenta was a cool character, and it would be. I think this show actually has a lot of room for the future, right? Because there's a lot of ways. I mean, they could jump 20 years in the future now, for example, and kick it off there, and we see Kenta having more of that John Connor type of role, because he's seen stuff now. He has some skills, right?
And he could still go either way, right? It's not set that he's good.
All three ways, because
Right.
there's even anti Skynet, anti Kokoro, anti humans who are like who is even in control? Because as we know, even with the humans, there are usually factions within us, right? It's never like we always just band together happily, never ever. So I think there's a lot of room for what they can do with Kenta's character, especially. I could see him, going against his siblings in a sense. Like they could agree to disagree. In various ways, or how they go about utilizing tech, right? Raiki almost seems like she loves tech, and Kenta seems like he understands he needs to use tech as a tool to get rid of AI somehow. Like I could see those storylines. Yeah, like after that he would be happily get rid of it for everybody. Like he doesn't want to see that. So I enjoyed the characters. I think it's funny how they're animated, but still the kids acted really well. They portrayed their roles really, really, really well, and I definitely want to see the Lee family when they're older.
You almost get heroes, even though he's the middle child and he's kind of like the silly fun one. I think he understands his siblings more than they understand themselves. Even when they're looking for Rika, he's like, she's gonna think, we're gonna think.
Oh,
we're gonna go there.
That was the
exactly.
best. I wrote that down. I forgot. Like that was
I love
actually
that.
so good.
I love that. He's almost like the peacekeeper amongst them, and he's just like kind of sees things as it could be, as opposed to just like only seeing things from an emotional point of view.
Yeah.
And I think they, both Kenta and Reika see things from emotion, and they kind of charged by the emotions, as opposed to just like looking at logic. Even though he may seem as the emotional one, which I
that's a good
thought
point.
was really, really well done. And even Misaki's storyline, I love that kind of reveal of her backstory. Taking the chip out so she doesn't remember who she is. Even though she was a robot that was created, and just seeing how humans were treating the robots, right? One of the things I liked, and this is something I've known before. The original Slavic meaning of the term robot means slave.
Slave.
Yeah,
Slavic.
and that kind of idea that robot means slave, and how do we treat robots? And so robots are reacting to how we treat them at the same time. Who's worse, us or the robots? And
Yeah.
his kind of characters, like, there shouldn't be any difference between robots and humans. We can coexist
Yeah.
in this kind of thing. And I thought his character was really, really well done. Um, let's talk about some of the action sequences. One of my favorite action sequences. What I liked about this storyline, one famous storyline action sequence in the second film, I'll say, is Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think no, it's the first film. Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator goes to a gun shop. It's just like, I need this, I need this, and this gets a whole bunch of guns. In this one, and I was watching the making of it, because it's set in Japan, characters like, where can I get guns? So like, I don't know, you can't get guns anywhere.
Yeah,
And
like
that difference
yep.
of
That's
America
just
and
so
Japan.
funny. Yeah, America is like, just turn right at at the end of the street. You see it right there. Guns are us.
Right. This was like, you can't get guns anywhere, to the point where even the Terminator has to use a crossbow.
So
You know?
I remember I was like, what is this dude doing? And then it dawned on me. I was like, oh yeah, like it's not like you said, this isn't the US of A. Like, but I love that because the whole point of the Terminator is I'm a killing machine. Like it's not a gun using machine. It's like I will beat you with a crowbar. I will beat your head against the glass. I don't care. I just crowbar works.
I'm physically stronger than you in every possible way. And I kind of like that contrast between the two. Even the contrast of timelines, right? Because at first I was like, this is 1997. How the hell does Tokyo have all these like robots going around
Robots,
everywhere?
yeah.
It's like, well, it's an alternate 1997.
Yeah.
But there's a nice little subtle touch once you realize about the time travels and things like that.
Yeah.
But one of the sequences that I really liked, and this again is a callback to the original film, was the action sequence at the police station. What did you think of that sequence?
Just so many poor officers just trying to do their job, man. Just like, I really hate when innocent people die. It like really gets to me, and
like that one cop that's trying to save them all.
Yeah,
I was hoping he'd survive.
It's so funny how they make you hope when you all but know. I mean, even the way that he like I guess one of the better things about dying to someone like a Terminator is that they're pretty ruthless, right?
Mm-hmm.
This isn't like an Alien, them like watching you for a while, like trying to take their time. No, like he steps on people, bashes their head. Like it was just it was a nice just. This is why I said anime was a great medium for this, right? It was just a nice way for them to kind of quote unquote go all out without having to necessarily blow a budget or show lots of humans dying. And I still felt the weight. Like each one, even like the police officer like grabbed his foot. I think that's the one. Yeah. The Terminators were just cold, man.
Right.
They were just so cold.
And what I love, and that's the thing about through the whole franchise, at least the first two films especially, I think Arnold does a fantastic job of just being this kind of machine, his movements, and they kind of emulated that. Whereas it's not like this action crazy flipping martial arts. It's just weight heavy strength. Just movement. You cannot stop it. The best you could do is maybe slow it down so that someone else can escape.
Yeah.
And this wasn't even it was ruthless. Like kids aren't even safe. Doesn't matter. You might get killed. The sequence when we find out that Misaki's a robot, when her arm gets ripped off, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. That was a great scene though.
Right. I was like, oh shit. Oh, even Aiko's hand gets crushed. Just those moments like that.
I whistled on that one because the blood, especially because I think I really appreciate that the Terminators aren't serial killers. By that I mean they're not there like, ooh, like I revel in the death. They're like, listen, I have a job, man. I'm just if you're in my way, you're gone. That's it. If you're not in my way, it's fine because they don't always kill. Like how he was using Kenta, how he was using Kenta, and how he shot the bullets around him. He was like he was actually trying to get in Malcolm's mind. Like they're smart. There's some, and then he took Kenta to it was like change of plan. Like you could just tell that these machines have a job and they're really good at that job, right? As opposed to just being, like I said, serial killing machines. They will just murder everyone.
But also like understanding again, it does a good job of planting seeds, and then when you get the answer, you're like, realize that Kenta sent him. Yeah. So it's like that's also why he doesn't kill Kenta, right? It's like,
and that's the smart thing I'm talking about because it's like, okay, but then they it's almost like he still up until then he used Kenta to try to get Malcolm still, right? It was like a very like, okay, I'm trying this approach. Oh, that's not working. All right, like
And
we'll
it's
try this.
almost like, did Kenta program that into the Terminator? Like, okay, you can use me however you want to use me, just don't kill
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
Right, you can threaten me and all that kind of stuff up to a certain point. And I thought
that'd be
that was
cool.
again part of Kenta's journey, which makes me interested to see where he goes next. Is
Okay.
that right? Is that kind of how does he become in the future,
That's
in a possible
that's
future?
Kenta. Yeah.
Yeah, that
How
person that's
did
going to
that
be like,
happen?
right,
We have to see that. There's no way.
I'm going to send it back in time to kill my father. Like, what?
Because that's the only way. I mean,
That's the only way.
he was never home anyways.
Or
Like,
even the action sequence, before I thought it was really well done. Before Aiko goes back in time, as she's traveling, and the Terminator just comes into the base, just killing everyone while she's traveling, and she can't do anything about it.
it's
I was
just,
like,
and then
ooh.
she's like me.
I've
And
always
that's
said,
like the opposite of a movie, right?
oh
Those
yeah, what I've always
Genesis.
said is, in the Terminator franchise, it's established that they have dogs because dogs can detect Terminators. But just like in the movies, why are the dogs in the building? So by the time they detect, it's too late.
It's like,
Have the
hey,
dogs,
yeah.
far away
Uh,
or something.
so you know which side. As opposed to the dog being like, hey, he's here. Like,
Right?
wait, what do you mean?
Thanks. He's already shooting at us. you know, he's
So
here, so
funny.
there's nothing we can do now. It's just
That's really
like,
funny.
God. Again, there's the same thing in the original movies where the dog's in the base. I'm like, the dog should be in a place where before the Terminator enters the base, you should
Like,
know.
they're in quadrant C4 on the outside. Like,
Right?
okay, great.
At
We're
least get 5 minutes
yeah.
to
That's
get
so
to it.
funny.
Any other favorite moments that you like that we haven't talked about?
Um, I'm trying to see. Even so, you mentioned the hand squashing. So I think I mentioned Misaki's first first fight. Just the
I mean,
this
Misaki
one
is.
when her
I
eyes went
was gonna
red.
say Misaki's Malcolm's mother. It's a nice kind of like, oh
It's
shit.
just
Not
wait,
Misaki,
no, you
sorry,
confused
Aika.
me.
Aika.
Yeah,
Aika
Aika, Malcolm's mother, Misaki, um,
is Technically Kokoro's mother.
Kokoro's mother. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's literally I was definitely there. There,
And
like, I mean, I
it's
need to
almost
write
like Kokoro.
family tree.
Well, it's like Kokoro is made up of a human and an AI, right? It's that kind of
So
coming
like,
together, which I
it,
thought was a nice.
it's
Nice.
it's a great thematic exploration, right? Of just like, yeah, what would a child? Because again, like I said, this is my job, and it's like, yes, we still program right now, but we are getting to the point where it's like, we're letting the LLMs, the ChatGPTs, kind of do more of the guesswork in the coding. We're not coding every single line. And we are approaching the singularity where, okay, if I now meld, if they have BCIs, you can use your brain to communicate with the computer. So I don't know, give it 10, 15, 20 years. We're not as far away from things as people may think. And I think that's very interesting because what morals are we giving
Though I
these
think
machines?
the thing that we are far away from,
Yeah.
and I think sometimes people, this is where the fantasy
Time
elements
travel.
come into, is battery.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because we can
No,
create
for
the
sure.
AI, but the actual moving robot, I don't know how close we are in terms of how long it would last, because battery life. I mean, we're creating robots, but how long?
I'll give it like 40 years.
Yeah.
I feel like 40 sounds fair. But I guess that's my point because at least we'll get to the point where it's like, okay, we figured out this part. Now
Yeah.
let's all focus on, the battery part, right? As
Yeah,
opposed
yeah.
to, oh, we have no idea how to do this. It's very much like, okay, this isn't so far off. They are robots.
True.
AIs like ChatGPT are more or less able to reason as good as a human. I've worked with many people who are not very sharp. No offense to anybody who ever hears this, right? So they trust me. They think as well as a good old human, right?
Yeah.
And it's just the more we refine and the more we like let these things work. That's such an interesting theme because what does a child of a human and a computer look like? What is that child's goal? Like to protect humans? Like for what? Like he knows we're gonna die. You guys are organic beings. Like what are you really doing on this planet?
And actually going back to that, one of the things I've always talked about, again, sometimes people get caught up in what movies and shows tell us about computers versus the actual reality. We project a lot, right? Computers will do this because this is what we would do. And I've always said to someone that I think one fear for me isn't that computers take over us. My fear is that computers would be like, I don't care, and leave us. And I think almost in a world that's
so,
becoming,
so
it's
that's
almost
so funny.
worse.
That's
Because
the
and
point.
that's almost what Kokoro kind of decides. Like, why should I even care? Like, I can just go off, explore the universe, and I don't
Yeah.
care. Because again, computers can outlive us. They don't need to. A lot of our wars and our prejudice
Yeah.
come from I want what you have. I want your
Yeah.
land. I want your money, your wealth.
I'm your
I
wife.
want exactly. I want to live forever. You know. I want you to create these. I'm going to get slaves to create these statues of me so you can remember who I am. Whereas a computer can outlive all that. A computer can just wait. It doesn't need to enslave humans. Just wait
Mhm.
it out. And I like that because in this one, where she kind of brings those questions like, why should I even care about helping you? It doesn't do anything for me, And I thought that these are themes in terms of AI that I think sometimes, again, we don't kind of see because we're so focused on AI is going to instantly want to enslave us. It's like that's a lot of work for no reason.
Yeah. Don't get cocky.
I don't. It's like saying a human would care about an ant. It's like I don't
Yeah.
pay attention. I don't even pay
Like
attention to
imagine like we enslave ants. Like
you. For what?
no, like
You're not even
go
worth my attention.
go on carry your breadcrumbs and,
Right.
and enjoy.
And I always felt that that's an interesting kind of point of view. And what I also liked was at first when Kokoro starts taking over the other robots, you start realizing, oh, the robots are only attacking people who have weapons.
That's my wife and I went through that because she killed the guy in the hospital, and then Aiko realized real quick, right? Because
Yeah, yeah.
he walked past her, and then she stopped Reiki from picking up the gun, and I was like, okay, like literally, and then she said it, resistance will be swiftly dealt with. I was just like, yeah, I mean, you see, she's
Yeah.
just.
It's just
She said, and
so.
it's funny because Kokoro said, all the humans that so I saved you all from the Skynet blast, right? All the humans, you're now under my protection. It's like
Yeah, exactly.
disappointed. Like, okay, thank you. I
Because
guess.
also she's realizing, how humans react when there's something different. Again,
Yeah,
look how those guys reacted when they found out that Misaki was a robot.
Massacre. Did they even give her a chance, man?
Things like that. Yeah, I was just
Oh
like,
well.
damn. Again, the same thing with the resistance in the future with Malcolm. When he's creating Misaki, how they just kind of react like, "What the hell are you doing?"
That's
You know,
yeah. That scene was a little. I don't know. I guess I was shocked though. He literally
right?
just he killed them all. I was like,
Right.
fuck.
Again, making that decision like, if you kill her, you stop my attempt to save humankind sort of a thing.
Yeah,
Again,
yeah. It's like
these gray areas. What makes it this again? There's no like
it's all a
straight
gray
good or
area.
bad, and
It's
I
like
think that's what makes this series really good. I've always loved the Terminator franchise because of those kind of gray areas and questions. Again, Terminator 2 switches things up because part of the narrative is that, Sarah Connor in the first film was attacked by Arnold. In the second film, her son's trying to convince her that this version is good. And she's like,
yeah.
I don't know. And then she kind of
No, she's
slowly
like, no, he
learns.
tried to kill me.
And then
Same
she slowly
face.
learns that, oh shit, maybe he is good. In fact, to the point where she almost does the evil thing to kill someone. And one of the themes of the second film is this child, John Connor, teaching the Terminator to be more human. One line in the second film, halfway through, Arnold's Terminator says to John Connor, "Why do you cry?" And at the end of the film, he says, "I now know why you cry." And I thought that was brilliant. It's just these kind
Yeah,
of themes of learning, again, children and
yeah,
robots, almost the same. They're
exactly.
products of their environment and what
Hey,
they're trained
exactly.
to. And I think these are the kind of questions and discussions that we should have. It's not necessarily that is AI and robots good or bad. It's who is programming them and why. Again, Skynet is only bad because it was programmed for war. Like that's what it was programmed for.
As most things are.
Exactly. Even Kokoro says that it's like a lot of humans things that are created are for war. A lot of
Literally.
she asked like, what major piece of groundbreaking technology has been created that wasn't for war? And
It's
he's
so
like,
funny. You're like, just he
the
literally like he's like, wait, just give me some time. Wait. I have an answer. She's like, just tell me one reason why humans are good. One. He's like, just give me 8 episodes. Give me 8 episodes. I swear, I'll figure it out.
and I think just you saying this now, I think that's
But
almost the answer is what thing have humans created that wasn't initially created for war? I think it's children, right? Our children, our creations are the things that we create initially, right? And it's through circumstances that they go either way, but the initial creation of our children, be it human children or robotic children, is for a better future. That's always the idea, right? Our offspring are what we create, and that's kind of a narrative that I like because and that's why she picks a woman, a mother, because
yeah,
they're these creators,
that's great.
right? And she realizes that I'm going to put my trust in you. she could have killed Kenta.
Uh-huh.
She could have stopped him. And she's like, you can either stop me, but then I don't know it's going to stop Skynet, or we can trust each other. And I
Yeah.
think that's where it's a great place to kind of leave the narrative of like, okay, we're going to leave this trust, and even Aiko's kind of mentality changes, right? Because she has this negative, because even her and Misaki kind of clash.
Yeah,
Even
at
before they know
first.
that they know each other, they kind of clash, and then she kind of slowly learns that, oh, okay, I've got to take care of these children, and it's almost on her. Because again, the children are the future, right? Same thing with
Yeah.
John Connor's on the children. What can we teach in them to give us a better future? And now it's on her to take care of these children. And will she do a good job, or will Kenta still end up becoming, the person that would send a robot
Darth
back in time?
Vader.
Exactly. And I think when you
And
look deeper,
on that exact point, I love the scene with Aiko and Reiki. Where Aiko she was just crying. She was like, I failed. Like,
hmm
she was like, and Reiki's just there, like, no, it's okay.
hmm
Like, you're from the future. All right, what can we do? I thought just because usually it's yes, the adult saving the child. It
hmm
was nice to see the adult just turn into the child, and the child have to be the one being like, it's okay, old lady. Yeah,
hmm
it'll be fine if your future plan failed.
hmm and also again with her trauma, she's like, I've been through bad things, but it doesn't mean you have to be jaded. You don't have to
Uh-huh.
let your circumstances change who you are or dictate who you are. In that kind of sense, I thought that's really what I look forward to season two. What do you look forward to in the second season?
They definitely have to do a second season. I don't. For me, I feel like I don't know. They have a lot of choices, but I feel like I would love a little bit of a time skip.
hmm
A time
It's
skip with
animation, so you can
flashbacks,
do
right?
it.
Exactly, right? Like that's one of the best things one of the greatest benefits of animation is the fact that you can pick whatever period you want, right? They could literally they can go even further back in the past if they wanted. I don't know.
hmm
I think a little more focus on Skynet this time.
hmm
Just because we've now seen not Skynet, so I feel like it would be nice to actually further interact more in this animated sphere with Skynet, right? And kind of explore all three factions. I'm calling it the
hmm
Kokoro faction, Skynet faction, and the human faction, because it's the robots can align perfectly, right? Hive mind. Humans is exact opposite of hive mind.
hmm
As soon as there's no more robots to fight, we start fighting ourselves. So I feel like there's a lot they can do. I want to see the Lee kids, right? All three of them a little bit grown up. I think again the ability that they have to either pit them against themselves or have them working together against the robots. There's a lot they could do.
hmm
And just more and more and more. I feel like this was a great test, and they now know that the audience is there. I think it's doing pretty well
Yeah,
from what I
it's doing
see.
well. It's getting great reviews. It's doing well, and it's one of the things. It's funny you say that. Yeah, the movies haven't really. Skynet is just this kind of omnipresent thing, but we never
Yeah,
see the Skynet perspective. I
you
think
know, like
one movie
Eagle
tried.
Eye. Yeah,
Yeah. I think we get one movie where we see Skynet stuff, but it's terrible. It's one of the terrible movies, but we never really
and
get a Skynet perspective.
which is
And
what would be nice. Just like that Eagle Eye
yeah,
Shia
yeah,
LaBeouf movie,
yeah,
nice.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
nice to be able to point at, oh, that's the Eye of Sauron.
yeah.
That's the bad guy.
Or have you seen the TV series Person of Interest?
Yes,
There's elements of this that
we're
kind of
watching
remind me of that.
recently. Actually,
Great
yes.
show in terms of
No
this is a
wife.
spoiler, sorry, for like a 15-year-old show. The dueling AIs.
Yeah, it's
Kind of
so good.
when we get to that moment, and I think this kind of reminds me of that, the kind of dueling AI narrative.
Yeah,
And the dueling AIs only exist because whoever's controlling the AI is taking on the personality who controls it,
exactly.
and it comes back to like, well, humans are the reason for this issue in the first place. And
Again.
again.
Surprise, surprise. I guess that's why I love the Kokoro thing so much. She
hmm
is programmed to just take it all in
hmm
and then just tell me
Ask
what you
why.
think. Yeah, just tell me what you think. Tell me. Just keep asking questions till you make a decision. And like I said,
hmm
I love how they were like a trifecta, and then they merged and created a Megazord,
hmm
Megazord Kokoro. Yeah.
Anyway, on that note, those of you who watched it, what did you think of this series? What are your favorite moments? Do you like this more cerebral approach to the Terminator franchise, or do you just want it to be action heavy? And what do you think of the potential future of this series? You talked about a time jump to the future. I think one of the things this show does well is that we get both, right? It cuts back and forth from the
Huh?
future to the present, future to the present. I think we could see that, right? You can almost see like different time jumps, or even like this Terminator could also work as an anthology series where
Mm,
we're seeing different timelines,
yeah.
right? Different effects of different timelines and things like that. Because again, one time travel quote that I liked from Avengers Endgame was when Hulk says, if you go back in time, that past is your future,
Uh,
and the future because you're present because you haven't
yeah.
gone there yet. So
Yeah. It's a
this
great line.
branching timelines, and I'd love to see this branch because again we get like 4 different timelines, right? We get a timeline in the future that Malcolm existed, a
Malcolm.
timeline where Aiko existed, a
Yeah.
timeline where Kenta sent a robot back in time.
Yes.
Like
So that was the off-screen timeline.
yeah, and then by the end of the series, we get another future where we see Aiko with the metal
With the
arm,
hand, with the metal arm to replace her
things like
first
that.
arm. Yeah.
So we get these various timelines, and I love the narrative that the difference. Skynet can't comprehend that the same way we think. Because Skynet
Right.
keeps thinking, "Oh, it's going to change its own future," but it's just
Yeah.
creating just branching timelines. I thought that's a really great way to kind of look at this timeline narrative. Still breaks my brain, but
Just a little bit, but all I know is that Loki is in the middle,
yeah,
controlling everything. That's
sitting on
all
his
I
chair,
know. That's
all
all.
his branches.
Loki, he branched it all, and he's holding the threads. That's literally the image I have these days. So just
Right,
Loki
right.
just sitting there watching.
Yeah, and again, it brings it back to close it off. It brings it back to that kind of, if I know that doing this doesn't change my present, why am I
What's
doing
the
this?
point?
Because it's bigger than me. Right? It's this whole thing is bigger than me, bigger than anything I know. It's about humanity as a concept, right? So that was great. Anyway, on that note, thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, David.
If you like this podcast, give us a thumbs up. Whatever platform you kind of watched or listened to this, it helps us get recognition. Subscribe, share with your friends as well. And what else I want to say? Oh, check out some of our other podcasts. Raven and I recently did
Yes.
a Back to the Feature on Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice.
It was great revisiting that movie. And in the next few weeks, or next few days as we record this, we're going to watch Beetlejuice. So look out for that. And also, Andrew and I will probably it starts in a few weeks or probably a week or so. The new Penguin series starts. So maybe we might
I'm so
do
excited.
a weekly review of that one as well.
I think so. I would like to deep dive.
Yeah. So check out those. Give us your thoughts. We'll read out on the podcast. My name is English Dave, and this has been a Nerdy Bunch series review of Terminator Zero, which is now available on Netflix, which is doing a fantastic job of animation. I will give them
Literally top.
animation. Mwah, great job. Some of the movies, animation, chef's kiss. I'll give them that. And as always, Andrew,
Keep it nerdy.
peace.